What's up? So as promised, I'm gonna come to you and discuss kind of where my head is as far as preparing for 2021. Now, typically in this week after Christmas and before New Year's, I'm like, okay, take a break, unwind my mind, see where I want to go in the next 12 months. And there's two types of people I feel like in this category. You have one group of people who are like, I am going to goal set and I'm going to set my intentions and I'm going to write them down and I'm going to create a vision board and I'm going to run hard in this direction. And then you have somebody on the other side of the coin who says, instead of setting goals and writing it down, I'm just going to set intentions on how I want to feel and kind of the rhythm that I want to have each day. And if I set my daily aim towards a specific spot, then I'm not too concerned about where I land, but I know I'll be further than when I started. Because each of them are kind of getting their mind right about what they want the next year to look like. But what do you do when we're in a situation where we're just coming out of 2020 and you're like, oh, I no way I can anticipate what's going to happen in 2021, because we think that the crazy is over, but maybe it's just beginning, or maybe it's completely over and we're all going to go back to normal. I don't know what you believe. I don't really know what I believe as far as like the reality of what's going to happen in the next 12 months. Like, all I know is that I'm holding on to somebody who is reliable, somebody who is going to hold me in all of the crazy, and I can have like a slow and steady course of action based on what the Bible's going to tell me, right? Okay, so we're talking about goal setting. We're almost just a couple days away until the new year. Hallelujah. I was writing down a couple of things that I want to focus on. Now, it's not easy for me to focus on what God wants me to focus on, because one, like, I'm really selfish. Two, I'm very ambitious. But God has been making me pump my brakes and slow down a bit on what I thought was most important. And God has been like, Laura, I will hold you back and you are a stubborn ox, and I will redirect you whether you like it or not to make sure you're investing in the right things. So because I'm a terrible person, it takes that much effort for God to like pivot my direction. First and foremost, I know that for 2021 and for 2020, my goal was to disciple my kids. Now, that's not hard for me to want to do, but it is hard to do. Okay, this past year was my very first year homeschooling, and I do count that as a part of discipleship, like pouring into my kids, loving them, being patient, trying to teach them right. Y'all got an 8-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 3-year-old. Tomorrow Scotty turns 3 actually. And let me tell you the hard times of trying to make sure I get them somewhat functional and successful before they leave the nest. And you might think that's like a long ways away, but with my 8-year-old, y'all, I got not even 10 years before he's like, peace out, I'm done. That's not a lot of time to make sure he doesn't grow up to go to jail. Let's be honest. You know, I don't have turnkey kids where I can just push them through the system and say, you raise them, teach them character, teach them what's right and wrong, and we're just gonna have a happy home. No, y'all, there is some effort and some like chiseling, hammer and chiseling happening to my children and to my heart to make sure that we are raising them hopefully to be successful adults. I digress. That is a large part of my life. So number one is I want to disciple my kids. This is talking about like where I want to go, because I'm kind of in between I'm going to go crazy with my vision board and I'm just going to float to see kind of what happens, because it's all about feelings. I'm kind of in the middle there. So first, disciple my kids. Second is I want to create a life-giving home. And I feel like there's so much room for improvement in that. One, as far as like keeping my house comfortable and warm and kind of having systems in place where I will actually have dinner at the table and we will actually do chores and we will actually pick up after ourselves. And, just these like, it's not simple at all, but just like a life-giving home where people can be in my home. My family can count this as their home base, a place to refill, recharge, and to feel 100% safe to be themselves in all of their successes and failures. Too, man, I feel like the way I'm explaining this is like a lifelong thing I'm trying to put in the next 12 months. No, it's just, I'm just trying to set that as an aim of, hey, this is an investment for the future, and continuing to invest in my kids, invest in my home. Those are 2 top priorities, because those things won't just happen unless I cultivate them. 3, I want to date my man. I wrote in my journal that a part of that, it's like I really want to do, we've always said, let's do monthly dates, but we just haven't done that. So I'd like to take a monthly date. I would like to even do like a quarterly, this is a little overzealous, but maybe even a quarterly outing. Like, so we have a sailboat, and I thought, Nick, how much fun would it be to, like, once a quarter, me and you take the sailboat out for a night and like have happy hour watching the sunset, right? Like, that to me could recharge. Sailing is really hard. So I don't know how much recharging there will be, especially when it includes like having to work with your spouse, sailing a boat in and out of the dock. So maybe that would be harmful for our marriage instead of helpful, but I don't know. And 4th is I want to work. Y'all, I like to work. I do. I love what I get to do for my careers. Like, I have 2 businesses. You guys know that I write, and then I have Beachbody. I do fitness. I do Bible studies. Like, I love doing those things. And God has to slow me down a lot of times. He has to pump my brakes and say, Laura, those are good things, but they're not the great things. And those passions that you have will always be there, but you will never again have the chance to disciple the kids that I have given you, and to maintain your marriage. So like, I have to constantly make sure that my career ambitions don't smother my priority to be a mom and a wife. I'm a terrible person. Does anyone else have a hard time with that? I'm a terrible person. Okay, love my family. They're everything to me, but I love to work. Okay, but I only work like 10, maybe 15 hours a week, and it's by the grace of God we've been able to sustain our businesses. Honestly, I think it's just because I'm trying to constantly surrender. It's so hard. It's so hard. Okay, this video is not about me, but it is so hard. That was 4, work. 5, this is not last place, but this is like kind of sprinkled into all of those areas, is I got to take care of me, and I got to set some boundaries so I know what I am supposed to be doing to refill, that I'm not working from an empty tank, because then none of those things will be done effectively. So I have things in place where I'm going to try to do them. Obviously diet, exercise, like the science behind taking care of yourself, and, stress management, those tendencies. I mentioned date nights. I mentioned I really want to hang out with my friends more. I want to make time for friendships. It's easy to go through your life and not make time for friends. That's a shame. But I really want to do better at that, even when we're all on lockdown because of COVID. I had COVID a couple weeks ago. It was awful, but we made it. I survived. And I'm so thankful that God protected my family from symptoms and from COVID, and my heart breaks because we still have a lot of loved ones who are struggling with that. My grandmother actually passed away from COVID. I never have shared that. That was just a month ago. And so it's really serious to my heart. I'm not belittling it or saying it's not a problem by tongue-in-cheekly being thankfully I survived, because I know how serious it is, and I am grateful that although it hit our home, that all of us are fine. I'm going to read to you guys what I read in Ecclesiastes about God saying, look, Laura, you might want to just timidly walk into 2021, but I'm asking you to plant seeds. I'm asking you to get to work, because you don't know when I'm going to show up and do big things with what you're investing in. And I wanted to read this to you so you understand, as you're setting your goals or intentions or plans for the next several months, whether you're a person who just plans in a 24-hour advance, or you kind of are setting your thoughts on, hey, this is what I'm going to do this month. These are kind of my goals and what's going to help me feel satisfied and content and proud of the self-discipline that you have. Wherever you are, just know the only thing that matters is this. All right, so set those goals, be ambitious, go crazy, have fun, follow your passions, maintain your priorities, but this will give you all of the answers, and any hole that you're trying to fill, only this will do it. Okay, here we go. Ecclesiastes chapter 11, verse, I'm going to start in 1. Send your grain across the sea, and in time the profits will flow back to you. That's saying hey, be generous. Give generously, send money, and it will come back around. Not health, wealth, and prosperity gospel, not teaching that, but the Bible says hey, just send your grain out. It's going to come back. Give to people. Don't hold it on too tightly. Verse 2, but divide your investments among many places, for you do not know what risk may lie ahead. Talking about dividing your investments. Verse 3, this is where I want to focus. When clouds are heavy, the rains come down. Whether a tree falls north or south, it stays where it falls. I read that and I was like, what? I got no idea what that means. I wrote here, I did some more study, and I wrote here, it means that unforeseen things will happen, and we can't do anything about them. What's done is done. So if that's the case, if what's done is done, we can't control the unforeseen. We can't control things that are outside of our outside of our realm. Verse 4 says this: farmers who wait for perfect weather will never plant. If they watch every cloud, they will never harvest. It says don't wait until the perfect conditions. Verse 5, just as you cannot understand the path of the wind or the mystery of a tiny baby growing in its mother's womb, so you cannot understand the activity of God who does all things. Plant your seed in the morning and keep busy all afternoon, for if you don't, if profit will come from, because if you don't know if profit will come from one activity or another. I'm going to read that last verse again. Plant your seed in the morning and keep busy all afternoon, for you don't know if profit will come from one activity or another, or maybe both. And I read that and I was like, whoa, God, you want me to plant my seeds, get to work, because I don't know where I'm going to profit. I don't know what's going to come back. I don't know what will create favor, what will just fall flat, but I do know that God doesn't want us. Here it says, verse 4, farmers who wait for perfect conditions will never plant, and if you wait for every cloud to pass, you will never harvest. Don't wait, get to work, still follow those dreams, still put a shovel in the ground, still make investments, still give generously. Don't live out of fear when you're setting your goals or intentions for this next year. I'm going to switch gears a little bit and tell you that this has been a really cool year for us, because we did launch our first book, Love Fast, Live Slow. We did release our first Bible study going along with that. It's a 6-week study guide. I know a lot of our friends, and a lot of you guys maybe even are going to be participating in that Bible study in the first of the year. I know a lot of you guys are even leading Bible study groups, whether it's in person or virtually, and we just want to say thank you for that. That Bible study is for sale right now. That book is for sale right now. And I would still love to partner with you and whatever Nick and I could do to help you jumpstart maybe establishing a group. We're going to rally a bunch of people together and say, hey, anybody who wants to start on January 18th, let's do that together, because that'll leave us from January 18th right up until Valentine's Day. That's a good 6-week chunk of time where you'll still have time between now and then, January 18th when it starts, to gather a group up, order your books, have it together, and then you guys can meet weekly with your groups, in person or not in person, whatever, and then we can all kind of put the cherry on top that week of Valentine's Day. And if you're leading a group, we want to pour into you. We want to invest in you, and we're inviting for you to be a part of a private group with us, to just go a little, have some fun with you guys. As you pour into other people, we want to pour into you, so you don't feel like you're being stretched thin and that you are pouring from an empty cup. Nick and I want to show up with you and offer maybe some Zoom calls every other week, nothing crazy, but just like a couple of times during those 6 weeks. We want to send you a package to say thank you for your leadership, thank you for putting yourself out there and being available to lead other people. Now, if you're like, there's no way I could be a Bible study leader, Laura, that's just not my thing, I just want to sit back and read this on my own, that is fine. You do not have to be some scholar. You don't have to know everything. You don't have to be in a position to teach, but you can be in a position where you just take initiative and facilitate a conversation. That is leadership. And if you are going to put yourself in the position and be brave enough to talk to a couple of your friends to do that Bible study together, then yes, you are leading the group, and I do appreciate you. So we want to pour into you and just help give you some tools and resources to help kind of generate conversation, have some fun, get to know you games if these people are new for you. Again, send you some goodies just as a thank you to invest in you and say that we appreciate the way that you're partnering with us in this message and in this mission to love fast and live slow. We feel excited about 2021, and I know personally I talked about my goals as a family, but we do also have business goals for 2021 with Love Fast, Live Slow, and on my fitness business side, a lot of it includes writing our second book, hopefully partnered with a publishing house this time. If we have to self-publish again, totally fine. That was an amazing experience as you guys bought the books and shared about the books, and it was incredible to be on so many bestseller lists during that time. But we do want to get our message out there and partner with a platform that's bigger than ours if we can. So I've been working really, really hard to develop a book proposal to pitch to a couple of publishing houses, and we'll find out probably in the next month and a half if anybody is going to accept our book proposal and if we're going to get a book deal this year. We'll find out. We've been working really hard, but whatever happens, we're fine with it, because we hope that regardless of how it's published, that it will be published and that it will not fall on deaf ears, that it will not return void, but that it will be received well, and the lessons that we've already learned will help others. This is lengthier than usual. Happy almost New Year's. Love you guys. Appreciate you guys.